Okay, I'm going to start to talk about things, but this is off the cuff for me today. So if you have questions while I'm talking, just call out my name and we'll go to it. I want to talk today about what happens when we have enough practice in the zendo and you get up ready to conquer everything. I wanted to talk first that this practice is a courageous and fearless one for everybody, no matter what your makeup. It's a very fearless kind of practice. It's like a warrior practice. You have to be ready to encounter everything, anything you meet, and to meet it openly head on. Also, you have to be ready to put your life on the line, which means not letting anything come between you and your practice. Even though you'd love to go out and have a great good time in the evening, but you know that it will just shoot down your practice for the next day. So the thing is to never let anything come between you and your practice. Okay? Practice is like a warrior's world where you have to spend all of your time really learning your practice and not coming back on it because you'd like to go out and have a good time for a change. So if you put your life on the line when you do nothing but what you know has to do with practice for a month or so or longer, and so you just sit in a cushion all day long if necessary, it's not like the kind of practice you would do all the time, because you reach a point where you actually begin to feel comfortable in the practice. And when that happens, you relax and sit back and do everything but. Thank you, Emma. So you're not always in high gear, as it were, but you do put a great deal of your life into the practice. And by doing that, you cut out all the extraneous things. But when you do relax and practice more, what happens? Even in practice, if you relax too much, it affects all of your practice. So you have to keep your feet on the ground in your practice and not let anything come between you and it for real. So if you'd like to go to movies regularly, or you'd like to go out and see people and party a little bit with them, you might find it actually puts a pressure on your practice in a way you didn't expect, because you've been so serious about it for so long. When you do turn around and put things lighter, your whole practice will feel it all the way through. So now I would like to tell you one of the reasons what keeps you going is you really love practicing. That's what happens. When you do put nothing in between, you really come to love your practice thoroughly. And after a while, it's not hard to cut out all the extraneous things. So say you've been practicing a long time, and then the day comes when you think, I'm ready, I want to go out to the world and make the world a better place. I'm ready to do whatever's necessary. I want to teach loving kindness out in the world, and I can do that by showing people what loving kindness looks like when it's not loving kindness. So say you get off the cushion, you go out in the world, you'd say, here I am. I'm here to give you all loving kindness. and you're standing there with your cape on, moving in the wind, and you think, what can I do? And you go up to the counter to buy something, and a man says behind him, "Excuse me, sir, I was here before you." And you know that's not true, but you say, "Okay, loving kindness, I'll step aside." So you step aside, and another person moves in before you. And there's a kind of minor fight brewing from two people vying for the same space at the counter. And then you say, "Excuse me, but I was giving loving kindness here and you interrupted me. What can I do?" And so the person says, "What do you mean by loving kindness?" And you say, "Well, it meant for me to step aside to let someone go ahead of me." And she just says, "Well, that's just rude." And so you're finding out that loving kindness is all over the world, and they have a different opinion of what loving kindness is. Loving kindness to many people means saying you're loving kind. And for other people, it means letting people know what to expect. But in this case, loving kindness is just like a sun in your own body. You really want to give kindness everywhere you go. And everywhere you go, you find somebody is crushing about it. Somebody else is saying, "Excuse me, but I was here before you." Or, "Excuse me, you're out of the line." And you say, "Oh, I am truly sorry." That's what loving kindness is. And they say, "Well, that's not enough." So to keep you from losing your spirit, I'd like to read you the 10 great vows of Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra is the bodhisattva of not just loving kindness, but of doing the right behavior. He is the bodhisattva of enlightened activity. And so what he does is he keeps everyone aware of what they're doing. So this is a great bodhisattva. He's usually pictured riding an elephant. And in Japan, he's known as Fugen. So the first great vow is to pay homage to all the Buddhas. And I don't know if you know what that means. Can you tell me what you see? What is the meaning of what is the meaning of paying homage to all the Buddhas?
Every one of us.
Yeah, if everyone is a Buddha, what does that mean? That means that the loving kindness can't be fake, it has to be real, because you're up against Buddhas all the time. And the Buddhas don't do anything except give you genuine loving kindness. So what we have to remember is that everyone is a Buddha, and when we meet them, it's not hard to give loving kindness to a Buddha. You just treat that person respectfully no matter how they treat you, no matter what they say, because everyone is a Buddha. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now it says that these practices are often done as a training practice in monasteries. It's where people recite these over and over again as if they were a Dharani, like the Dharani we do of Avalokiteshvara. With the drums we chant over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is like that. And it's like Dharani is like a chant where you say like Gyate, Gyate, Pada, Gyate, Padasam, Gyate. This is the one that says gone, gone, gone beyond, altogether gone beyond, Bodhisvaha. So, second is to glorify the qualities of all the Tathagatas. And what does that mean? If everyone is a Buddha, what does that mean? It means you treat people really well all the time and understand that whatever the qualities they have, they come from the source. And so you treat that source very respectfully, because that's the one thing you don't want to disappear in your life. Since you work so hard to practice, when it comes to you, you don't want to lose that, so you practice really hard to make that exist. And then the fourth one is to confess and repent of all one's misstates, which you can do to yourself. So if you forget loving kindness for an hour or so, and then remember, because you're standing looking at someone in the face and you know inside that this person comes from a much deeper source that appears, then you look at yourself inside and say, and realize what misdeeds are growing up in your being, and put them aside and say, this is it, this I will not do anymore. So, and this is one of the hardest ones, this next one, to rejoice in the merits of others. I don't know why it's so hard for us to love another being who's doing really well. Say, a person who's won some contest or some thing of money, and you think, why wasn't that me? But really, you look at the other person and say, you're very glad for them and really mean it. Okay. And then to always request the preaching of the Dharma, which we were like that in Tassajara, the monastery up there. And whenever we had a chance to read or to hear the Dharma, we always chose to hear the Dharma, because it was not just a good thing to do, it was really, really interesting when our teachers were present and we could talk to them and ask questions. So that's not as hard as it might seem to be. And then the seventh one is to entreat enlightened beings to remain in the world. And this we'd like to happen, but it's very rare to meet enlightened beings to request that. So you request it in your heart. And then to always study the teachings of the Buddha. This is enlightened behavior, such as Samantabhadra represents. And the truth is, when you do study the teachings of the Buddha, you really don't want to squander your life in any way, because you feel very, very encouraged when you read the teachings. And then the ninth one is to always respond to sentient beings according to their various needs. So it's never to expect people to be a certain way. It means you allow people to be just as they are, because what we're doing in this practice is is putting aside ourselves so that our natural being can come up to the surface. And mostly, Suzuki Roshi said in his new book, there's a book of his talks in Tassajara, in Zen Center and Tassajara, and Mel Weissman, who was the abbot of San Francisco Zen Center and Berkeley Zen Center. So one of the things you gather when you read the book of his talks, for example, Mel Weissman did the work on it, put it together, along with Jiru Roshi, who is a abbot of Zen Center. So responding to individuals according to their needs is one of the really big expectations in practice, because no one knows exactly what they need really, but others do, and the Buddhas and others do, and our own Buddha knows it as well, and we all know we're below the line of perfect practice and perfect behavior. So we do our best to follow these teachings and to always respond to sentient beings that we meet according to their needs. That is, we don't put our ideas on these other people. We look to see what is really happening and try to fill in the gaps there if there are any. And then the last 10 great vows of Samantabhadra is to dedicate all the merits we make to all sentient beings, never to hold on to anything. And when I was in Tassajara at the Mountain Center, that's where I first learned this meaning that you don't hold on to even good merits in your life. You always pass it along like everything else. So when you have a really good happening in your life, you give that away. When you practice hard, you give that away. You give that merit to people that need it. And when you understand something about joyfulness and wishing well for others, you give that away too. You don't hold on to anything good, and you give it away to others so that they can understand Buddhism finally. And that's the 10 great vows of Samantabhadra. And it says it's a good thing for practice to read over it every day like a Dharani. And I tend to think that too, because these are wonderful practices. And they're ones you can do very easily in your world. Just means keeping your connection to yourself and people clear, like Manjusri represents clarity and compassion with people. Now, do you have any questions about these 10? Yeah.
When you say give away the merits of your behavior, what do you mean by that? Do you mean don't glorify yourself for doing something good, or do you actually do something to say, I want this merit to pass on to somebody else?
Well, you don't do it to make yourself feel good either. You do it to actually help, and your intention is to spend your life working with people to keep yourself from feeling overly good about your practice. And you give away everything that makes you feel your practice is really good. You dedicate that to people who may need it in their practice. That's as far as I learned. What about you, Spencer?
Got lost in my head there. I have an answer. So, Mike, your question was?
How do you, what is giving away your merits to somebody?
Oh, well, you never had them to begin with.
You never won?
You never had them to begin with.
That's true, that's a good point.
And there's no attainment in this practice. It just isn't.
Yeah.
Not for ourselves and not for others. And if we sit for others, it's much more powerful than sitting for ourselves, but sometimes all we can do is sit for ourselves. But when we do the metta, why do we do the metta in that order? Metta meditation is manifesting loving kindness. But you do it for someone you have so much love and respect and this relationship in this world, that you just feel it. Okay? And then sometimes you do a second person, so you just build that, stoke that fire. Okay? And then now you're able to give it to yourself. Then you give it to yourself. Because we can't give ourselves love right away, right? It's hard. But once you gave yourself love in loving kindness, now you're ready to give it to others. But we start small, we start giving it to like a neutral person, like the mailman. Okay? But then we give it away, right? We're giving it to the mailman. Then we feel okay. And then we see others as ourselves. And even when it's hard, you know, you might see someone in a red hat, and that might bring something up in you. But you can say, all right, well, this person loves and struggles, and just like me, and when it's confused, maybe just like me, maybe they need to find a way. And you find compassion, and you give it to them. And then you give it to the world. And so, yeah, you know, you're always giving it away. This is a practice of giving, never taking for ourselves or others.
Yeah.
We're just always giving.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Jane. My question is, what's something I can do to make it easier to follow those 10 precepts?
Well, we'll read them first of all, and think about each one as you read them, and try to understand what it means to read, to have right action. Because most of the time we want to act without having to think about ourselves. We don't want to be that self-conscious, but it's good to have that self-conscious beginning and then to just slowly let it drop and fall away from you. But the way to do it is just to realize that every sentence there, every homage was a heartfelt thing from the heart, and that you can give all these things away in loving kindness just by practicing these, by thinking about them every day, reading them every day, and concentrating them on in your zazen. Anybody else want to say something about that? Does anybody not understand something about it?
Well, kind of going with the giving it away, the last one, like explicit things like actually like giving away. Like I think I know it, like what it means, like for me mentally, but in terms of like experiencing the joy, like giving it away. Like how would you, if you're experiencing joy within your own home, in your own family, how would you give that away?
That's a really hard place to give that away because our feelings are not that loving kind in our families. That's a good practice though. If you could do it there, you can do it anywhere. And there was a sentence I remember. It said, if you think you're enlightened, go to your home for a week.
Go spend a week with your family.
I think what's important is not to be attached to the good event that happens. That's what kind of giving it away, like don't hold on to it, just let it go through. Good or bad, just be okay with it.
Yes, that's right. That's a very good point, Danny. Yes. Good or bad, you still just do it as you can. If that's the best you can do, then you do that to the best of your ability. John.
Thank you, Jane. Great talk. I just wanted to, for those who, 'cause I also found the giving away of the parent often very confusing. And what helped to cleared up for me was many years ago, we did, can you hear me, Spencer?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the speaker switched to the computer. Go now.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that for me, one of the things that really helped to clear it up was during book study many years ago, we read the Diamond Sutra, Red Pine with Red Pine's commentary. And the Diamond Sutra basically is entirely about um, the obtaining of dharma, the obtaining of merit through the spreading of the dharma, and then the release of that merit. And I think that if you were to pick up Red Pine's Diamond Sutra and give it a look, it would help to explain it a little better for you.
Thank you, John. That's a good point. I think, in fact, if you start to feel like you're doing really well and you start trying to give loving kindness to strangers, you might find that they don't appreciate it one bit usually, and probably they think you're a little strange at the same time, which is really disheartening. So what you should do is do it according to that person's needs. That's what it's saying when you meet ordinary people, just take care of them according to their needs. So if they feel it's a little strange, you can just put it more into vernacular and to what they're accustomed to. So.
Well, I've said this before, I'll keep it brief. My way of doing that is just smiling at people.
Yeah, down to the
Just,
simplest.
you know, and there's people who are very nervous in our city right now for good reason. And they look at me with my head, and I wear camouflage clothes because it's cheap. And I just turn to them and I smile. And all of a sudden they smile back. And maybe is that like giving away your merit in the sense that, you know, you just put a smile on someone else's face.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't do it because, look what I did, or I want to do, I like to see people smile, so I try to, you know,
Yeah,
smile.
that's a good way. Anyway,
Sean had his hand up too.
one way that can help you to do this is that when you look at what you've been doing in practice, you may feel good about it and think, well, it wasn't too bad. I did all right concerning the sitting and things, and I find the practice is not so strange after all. And then realize that you're also progressing on the good merit of others, the teaching of other people like the monks and temples, and they're always giving away their merit. And we've all been succeeding in many ways because they've been giving us their merit.
Sean has his hand up. Sean.
Jim, I just wanted to add that that's a good point that was brought up, and part of I guess the giving away is the not trying to obtain, right? We're not trying to attain or obtain merit, and so often the giving away of loving kindness without the expectation of any reciprocal or any kind of recognition, or even a lot of people engage in charity and other activities of loving kindness because it feeds their ego. And doing that is, anathema to loving kindness. So I think that, doing extending the act of loving kindness without expectations, and in a lot of ways, just trying to avoid reciprocation and so forth, is a good way to go.
Yeah, thank you, John. And taking off our cape of magical activity. Just go out and really be kind to people and know that we are acting on other people's giving of merit. And we've been helped by many people that we have no idea who they are. And yet we've profited by many good, kind acts of beings who we don't even know. We do the same with others. We we help them, but they never know us, and that's good. Because then when we give away the merit of it, it can really go where it's needed. And for us, all of us, we went through stages when we really needed help. And now we're getting it, and that's a wonderful thing. And I'd like to remind you all that in the world of many, we meet many different kinds of people and we give them what we can. But in the world of one, we're the same as all of them. We're the one together with all of them. And even when you give merit away, you can't really give it away because we're one being. So whenever you think about what you're doing, think of first through the eye of one of many. You have many different ways to do it, many different kinds of people to talk to, and you have many ways yourself to express your understanding. But in the world of one, you don't need to express yourself to anyone because we're all the same. We're one being. So when you give away your merit, you are just passing along your goodies to the next person you meet, like that.
And I work in IT support for a big company, tour company. We have 300 users just in our corporate office alone. I also do support for Hong Kong, Minneapolis, Bentonville, Canada, Mexico City,
Wow.
many other locations. In my day, I am being bombarded from one request that you can't even fulfill one request before another one's being asked. And then I'm training someone else also. All day long, I'm getting, can you do this one? Can you do this one? And in the middle of doing it, I can't even go to the restroom without someone saying, the guy next to you in the stall next, can you, when you get back, help me with it? And it's all day. So and then let's not forget the overtime. And because some of these users are in a different time zone when I go home, I sometimes have to answer calls or do remote support. So my question is, when you're being bombarded like that, how can you give the merit of loving kindness when it's just,
Yeah,
when you're just being bombarded?
you're wearing the answer to that on your shirt. One love. One what?
Love,
Yeah.
One heart. That's good. One destiny. So there's your answer right there. It's you that is bombarding you in this case, and when that happens, according to the one, according to the many, you do what you can do to help them. Even if it makes you very tired, you still do your best to help them. But in the world of one love, one heart, then it's very different. The control of that comes from your being, your heart. So if you're feeling irritable with it, which is very natural, just look at yourself and say, well, suppose I was one of them that was standing there feeling really terrible. What can I do? And you think, I have to help everyone that comes here. So you just do your best in that case. And remember the one love, one heart. That's what we actually are, all of us together. We look how different we all look. Yeah.
So I don't know, for me it feels like you're, compared to me at least, you in every single day at work, you give out so much love and kindness. I'm not doing enough by just being neutral or just not aggressive back or just hiding your irritability. That's art. The fact that your piece is being disrupted and you're not letting that back onto those people, that's already so much love and kindness. It's not to say you can have more love and kindness, it's
Yeah.
a numbers game, but you are already giving out so so much immense love and kindness. Every single one at work. Even in the bathroom stall, I say, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, I do similar kind of work, and I guess what I think about is helping people, but helps me to have a bit of a boundary, like I need to take care of myself as well. If I need to go to the bathroom, somebody's gonna be waiting, so I need to go to the bathroom otherwise. So for me, I just try to remember, I can take care of myself, I can give to you, and, you know, there has to be a balance there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't feel guilty about it.
What's that old adage they say on the plane? If the oxygen mask comes down, you put yours on first, and then put it on your child, because if you don't, you may not make it long enough to put it on your child. So it's like, okay.
And then, I don't know, maybe when it's the bathroom moment, maybe that's when you get the biggest smiles and the most outward love and kindness and kind of,
It confuses them.
Yes. When we have a bamboo forest that I have not, I'm going to start utilizing with some quiet music inside. I know that's a getaway because I don't know what it is.
If you, you know, when we do a session of any kind, even a one-day sitting, we do kinhin in between or walking meditation. And people say, well, how do you do it? And you just say one breath, one step. And you keep everything within your grasp when you do that. One step, one breath. And you just do that for 10 minutes until the bell rings to sit down. So even when you're up and moving, you don't lose touch with everything around you, because every time you say one breath, one step, you're aware of the world around you. So you can do some of that. That's how they get through a session. When you're really tired of sitting, you just think to yourself, one breath, one sit, one paying attention, like that.
Thank you.
Visa, you
Oh, it was related to what you were talking about before. I worked as a counselor in mental health, and there were a lot of people there. And there was always somebody who needed something. And then there were some clients of mine who how should I put this in a diplomatic way? They mainly wanted to come because they had things to complain about and they wanted somebody to listen. They didn't necessarily want to utilize the tools to make their situation better, they just wanted somebody to listen as they complained. And so I had a client like that, and every time they would come and they would say, Avisa, your clients are this person again. And I was told by the therapist who managed us that if you find yourself feeling tired when dealing with a specific client, it's something within yourself that is causing that exhaustion. That they have a certain pattern of behavior, but it is still separate from myself. And so it's up to me how I respond and how elevated or not elevated I get.
That's good.
I think that's one of the reasons why the practice is so important, because you don't have to be in that situation and then, oh, I should meditate now. To get into a calmer state, you meditate like often, like in the mornings or in the evenings, and you practice and you sit and you meditate, find your present moment awareness, and then when you're in that situation, you can kind of find that again, I think.
Okay. Anybody else?
I was gonna say, you know, again, back to the work situation, it's almost, people are calling you with their fires to put out all day. It's kind of like, I joke with my wife, like, she's always panicking about something. I'll be like, okay, did we panic first? Okay, so we got the panicking out of the way, now we can try and fix it, you know? So maybe I'm able to I've learned to separate from the panic, you know, which has helped me a lot.
That's a good point. Very good point.
Service.
Do you have any more questions?